Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to game number 4 in week number 3 of our community FFA tournament. Today we've got Pollina, Yerand, Rhahi, and El Capitan competing on Mars, with Philithanic still here providing us some commentary. A couple new factions I'm seeing on this
We
map.
have expansive robot nomads and elites. There is a lot of good silicon down to the south of the colony. 2 potential nomad spots, no nukes. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple of those. Where is all the iron? All the iron's mostly in the northeast side of the map. That says, well, that could work for both expansives and robots. And we do have...
Yeah, robots dropping first, as you were saying. El Capitan's going to do it. And you're sitting there thinking, man, that could be a really great scientific location, but not this game, as it turns out, so... Bit unfortunate. Pollina seems a little unsure. There's no advantage at this point, literally none, to waiting to found. So Pollina just having a little trouble choosing where to get on the ground. Eventually is going to land next to that carbon patch as a robot, see what she can get done up there.
Pardon me, I was just asked why nobody was hosting the match, and that's because Terra was supposed to host it, so hopefully one of the players that's not Game Slayer has Jupiter's Forge and can host it. Otherwise, we might have to cast the
Might have to wait. Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. I'll let you keep an eye on that while we watch this game. Rhahi's got an interesting start here that I do want to point out, where going only for primary resources, trying to take advantage of that $30 steel, but having quite a lot of competition for it. And so just a little bit slow, it seems, to getting to this upgrade because of it. Having to wait for that aluminum, probably going to have to wait for that full aluminum shipment to come in before getting the upgrade. Oh, not quite. Managed to just barely get there. And $180 glass with warehouses on the board. This is why I really like Yerand going ahead and picking up that nomad location. He's got water, he's got silicon.
El Capitan's location as a robot's not too shabby either. Same for Pollina. Pollina also was not going into any steel. So 2 players not going into steel. Pollina's going straight into water and electrolysis reactors, and now she's going to claim... Now she's going into steel.
Yep.
But securing some carbon.
Yeah, I like picking up the carbon, dropping your steel. That's just fairly basic. I'm going to make sure to secure the resources, even if I'm not using them now, so nobody can take them from me. Because not only are they valuable resources, and you want to take them away from your opponent because of that, but you also want to go ahead and secure the tile so that nobody takes those tiles that are next to your base that you kind of desperately need in order to have room for all your production. So definitely good to go ahead and get that done right now. Oh, those poor glass kilns.
Yeah, Pollina identifying those glass kilns and making a ridiculous amount of money this early in the game and deciding you're not going to have any of that, Yerand.
And Yerand has the goon down now, just a little too late, unfortunately, to protect any of his production. It is very, very strong income off those glass kilns for the time being, so good to see somebody choose to go ahead and shut them down. Yerand's got 3 if he wants it.
So power's climbing quite rapidly, despite this not being a power colony, in part because of all the steel that just came online and all the shipping that our robots are doing.
Yeah, El Capitan in particular, despite his wind turbine, very strong wind turbine at 1 a second, he's got shipping from a water pump, he's got shipping from a metal mine, both pretty far away. Those are going to be driving up power quite effectively. And of course, 3 steel users always going to be pushing on that power market, that 0.3 per second. Steel mill is no joke.
Auction high iron tile. Yerand is trying to bid it up right now, doing a decent job, up at 14k. He's going to keep on pushing it up. Now Rhahi, sorry. Rhahi,
yeah, I'm pretty happy to see this if I'm El Capitan, but he's not going to take it. I mean, that's just a nice tile to have. Not only is it iron, he doesn't need extra iron right now, sure, but it's pretty close to his base. That's pretty easy to use if he had wanted it, so I'm surprised to see it go for just 16.
It's a high. It's close. Yeah. The shipping's not bad. That means he can rotate out the current high next to his base into something else. That's what, 16k debt for flexibility.
For 16k debt for just a tile would have been a really good pickup. I'm a little disappointed.
Everybody is now HQ3. Pollina just upgraded, Rhahi just upgraded. Pollina's going to go into some power with a single wind turbine. Yerand had the Geo with the boost, and it wasn't good.
Yep. Was not gooned. Circuit overload drops right on top of that. Good use of that. Good use of that black market item. A dynamite would have also been acceptable, but of course circuit overload gets the job done and makes sure to shut it down all through that adrenaline boost. So power going nowhere for Yerand. El Capitan though, he's going to take the risk.
And
oh,
Pollina is also boosting her
less of a risk.
Turbines. Yeah, 2 goons. That's part of the reason why she was so late to upgrading to HQ3. Pollina's going to make some power money. El Capitan is probably not. And then Rhahi right now is going to get this geotherm up just as power is starting to crash. She's going to keep her debt in check, but that's about it.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Rhahi, I mean, lots of debt already. 82,000 debt, picking up that high iron tile. I don't know if she expected it to be bid up from that point. I certainly would have expected El Capitan to fight for it a little bit more, so maybe wasn't wanting the tile, but didn't want it to let it go cheaply, and then was kind of punished for that by being forced to take on all that debt. Also, even with these reduced shipping costs, even with not too expensive fuel, which we've seen mostly kept in check, Rhahi is still doing a lot of shipping. And that seems to be causing some debt problems too.
Sea debt. Well, she actually is not going to fall into sea debt. Got all of her debt making positive money. So she's going to hover right at that edge of sea debt.
As long as you can stay there, you're going to be all right. So hopefully we'll see an upgrade from Rhahi before long. That'll make it a lot easier to go ahead and keep the bond rating at an acceptable level. Even if things get a little out of control, though, we do have cook the books this game.
So Yerand is HQ4 first, and surprisingly, other than that Geo and that freeze, he has not been targeted too much.
No, I think some of that is just the adrenaline boosts that have been available. So Pollina in particular, we saw Pollina go with the initial power surge that did hit Yerand. I'm not sure, might have used the circuit overload as well. I'm not sure who hit the circuit overload on Yerand's adrenaline boost, but of course there's been a lot of focus on adrenaline boosting and goon squatting this game, so a little bit less focus on getting aggressive. And in particular, all you've really got to get aggressive with, unless you're thinking about power, are power surges and dynamite.
Yeah, but Yerand, HQ4, 60k in profits. A robot that just living dangerously could have been a majority buy pickup, but instead Yerand's going to put a really, really big target on its back. Well, it would have been a big target for majority buy either by going to HQ5, but that'll make it safe for Rhahi to upgrade also.
It will make it safe for Rhahi to upgrade, but Rahi's only getting into 4, and there is definitely something to be said for being so far ahead, you're comfortable going up to HQ5 without buying any of your own stock. That's a little bit more rare these days than it used to be. Players are a lot more aggressive about majority buys than they used to be. Majority buys typically a little more effective in long games than they used to be as well. So because of all those things, you're typically slower to 5. So Yerand, he's able to get up there very quickly. And despite the target on his back, it's still nice to have all those claims.
Yeah, well, the person who was for a while closest, Pollina, keeps on spending all of her black market cooldowns on goons. So she has a lot of goons instead of going on the offensive. And then El Capitan, which is also roughly the same amount of cash, spending their money going into a patent lab. Just going to start researching a patent lab too. Still has 3 claims to put down, going for carbon scrubbing.
Yeah, I don't mind the carbon scrubbing. Carbon is by no means plentiful on this map, in that most of it has been claimed already, and most of that by Rhahi. By Pollina. So making sure to go ahead and get into that market, definitely not a bad thing, or at least get to the point where that market is not going to be the death of this game.
I like where Yerand's going right now. Is one optimization center that is currently optimizing. He has 1 hacker array, and it's been optimizing for a while. A hacker array under construction just built a pleasure dome, which is making some, with that triple adjacencies, making some nice money for Yerand. Doesn't like that the colony decided to put out a pleasure dome to be bid on.
Yeah, that's always a bit frustrating when you've got the pleasure dome down first. It's like colony just says, nope, there's another one this game. But you can always take the opportunity to take it as an extra tile and just drop even a no adjacency optimization center there if you need to, something.
Or blow it up with the dynamite that Yerand has stored
Certainly
up.
blowing it up is nice.
But that won't be available for another 45 seconds. Oh, Capitan,
we do have that 10-minute defense. Whoa!
Gets punished hard. For
Nobody wanted
boost.
that adrenaline boost. Oh boy. That was fun to watch. Just Yerand did what he could, but it wasn't anywhere near as effective as what Rhahi had available. Alright, what have we settled into at this point? Everybody else still HQ4, so Yerand still seems to have the very, very solid advantage. People are starting to secure some of their own stock. You can see this is where that jumping to HQ5 super fast is really, really nice. Because other players, before they get to 5, they're now feeling threatened. They have to secure their own stock. They're just a little slower to 5. That's going to slow down upgrades. It's going to slow down patents. It's going to slow down optimizations. Everything that they want to get done, instead of investing it into making more money, they're just having to invest it into staying alive. That's never something you want to have to do.
Right, so Pollina's been doing quite well with these carbon hacks over here, and El Capitan with that carbon scrubbing, now going for teleportation. That's alright. El Capitan still is taking a very long time to put down these claims from HQ4. Like 1 sol ago, there were 3, and now there are 2. Yerand with a good hack on glass. That's coming in right now. Gonna make a lot of money off of that.
That iron price, El Capitan better be regretting not taking that high iron tile he had available.
Rhahi living a little bit dangerous. Upgrading HQ5.
But sometimes that's just what you have to do, honestly. I mean, sometimes Yerand really got off to a fast lead this time around, so I can't really blame Rhahi for playing a bit dangerously, saying, all right, I'm either going to get an advantage here that I shouldn't have by not playing safely, or I'm going to die. But if I don't go for it, I'm probably going to die anyway, so I may as well try, you know?
Well, it looks like the largest moment of danger has passed as Yerand decided not to sell out of what he had and buy into Rhahi, which I would have liked to seen happen a little bit earlier. As it is, this is going to be closer than it should have been.
Yeah,
from Yerand's perspective.
Get this done. Goon Squad in particular helping out, making sure that the chem refineries stay online even if the glass is shut down. However, we do have an electronics factory transition happening right now. There's going to be quite a bit of cash locked up in that.
Yeah, that's a bit dangerous right there. That is very dangerous, and that's the death of Rhahi.
The black market is open.
Yeah, I got rid of the glass, but didn't get rid of the electronics before it had finished. And so without that steel, Rhahi not able to defend herself and is in fact punished for making the upgrade without having the cash to defend. Nice pickup for Yerand, though.
Yeah, Yerand's going to be quite happy with that because while Yerand had a lot of cash, Yerand's stock price was quite low due to him being in C debt. So this gives Yerand a lot of breathing room, and if he's able to continue to buy into Rhahi, Rhahi should be a good sub going forward.
Yeah, certainly Rhahi will be an effective subsidiary, was already HQ5, had a decent setup. For the most part, I think Carbon is one of those places where Rhahi was really lacking, and so it might be interesting to keep track of that, as Yerand hasn't done much about it himself either. But he still has the strongest foot in the silicon market. He's got the best access to this glass production in a lot of ways, and so he still has plenty of advantages to exploit and is going to secure all of Rhahi that he can. Pollina just manages to pick up 1 stock, already making almost 500 second from Rhahi, though.
So this is where Pollina has the debt advantage, but not the sub advantage. So not going to have the income. And Yerand with a $10, almost $9 stock price ahead. Those are our 2 leaders at the moment. Right now, I'm going to tip it a little bit to Yerand's favor.
Yeah, Yerand seems to be in the best spot. I mean, in particular, he has picked up a very nice subsidiary in Rhahi that was already mostly set up to be very effective at making money, having just hit HQ5. If you have to get the buy just before HQ5, it's not nearly as strong because, of course, the subsidiary gets reset to $10,000 and then has to make it all up again, has to develop to the point where they can upgrade, but getting it just afterward is pretty much exactly where you want to get the hit. Now, we may see some fluctuations downward from an off-world market coming online from Rhahi. In particular, the subsidiary can do that now if it wants to.
Bidding closed.
And it does.
It does. So we're going to see some fluctuation here, but once the markets are online, they're going to be making a decent amount of money. 42,000 for food in profit right now, currently at 550 for that launch. And so it's definitely going to be valuable still long term.
One thing I want to point out about El Capitan is they have carbon scrubbing. They're moving into a lot of electronics factories. What I would have preferred to see, rather than moving in so many electronics factories, is put some optimization centers down. Start optimizing that electronics. Maybe start optimizing some chems too. Those things that you can get for free and not have to worry about Pollina hacking this carbon price. I think that would be more effective than going into 6 electronics factories.
Yeah, you do definitely want to see those long-term investments from the optimization centers in particular. Try and get something done with those. I do agree with that in general. This is a hefty commitment to a market, but without proper optimization, it's not going to be very effective. We only see one optimization center from El Capitan right now. It just feels a little lackluster compared to the hacker ray and optimization center of his opponents.
This is where things are going, well, Yerand, okay, not going to get as interesting as I perhaps thought. Yerand is going to decide to buy into El Capitan, realizing that El Capitan is going to be a lot cheaper to pick up than Pollina.
Plus off-world market.
That off-world market and the carbon scrubbing. So another good sub to have, and Pollina is going to try and race Yerand to hopefully getting the drop before Yerand can make that pickup. It's unlikely that that will be the case, although these 2 power surges will definitely help.
One thing I want to point out, this is a very vulnerable off-world market in a lot of ways. It's over near the colony in a game where we have dynamite. Now, it has been protected by a goon squad, but this also means that as a subsidiary, it could be extremely valuable because it's going to be launching even faster than it normally does. 30% boost on that from the warehouse is not something that comes up in very many games because it's so dangerous to put markets away from your base, but we'll have to see if it matters this game.
I am a little bit surprised that nobody has decided to toss a dynamite on Rhahi's off-world markets. I mean,
just try and slow that sub down.
Yeah, at worst, the sub's going to target you back with a cheap dynamite, and if you're Pollina, you don't have anything super expensive that it could hit.
Misinformation.
Yeah.
So the possible potential reward for the risk, I'd say, is quite good.
No, I would agree with that sentiment. You can, not only that, but if you can do it right as the subsidiary is throwing up the off-world market, it's not like they can get rid of it at that point. They have to go ahead and try and repair it if they want to use it at all. And on top of that, you're extending that period where the subsidiary is providing no income whatsoever to your opponent. I think that's by far the best thing that could have been done with the black market cooldowns this game, given that the aggression available on the market is just not very strong. Well, I mean, that said, 4.5 circuit overloads at 267 power, but hey, I still think the dynamite was better.
Speaking of 267 power, El Capitan is making power money, which is another reason why Yerand probably thinks El Capitan is a good sub. Making power money, having that off-world, although does Yerand... Yeah, the off-world's over at the colony, and it is not hologram.
Mm-hmm. Which is a bit interesting to have a non-hologrammed off-world on the map. You have to wonder how it changes players' thinking about the situation, knowing that powerful building is available. All that debt, man. All that debt. I'm just saying.
Is buying into Pollina, which is exactly what Pollina does not want to see.
Yeah,
because Yerand is so close to buying out El Capitan. That's
it is
just
going to kill Pollina.
one of those mistakes. If you are in the rear and you're not like super angry at the person in second, don't buy into them. All
Yeah,
that
you're just
does is
helping out that leader.
you're just helping out that leader. Sure, you're gonna die more quickly, but El Capitan was gonna die anyway.
It's true. That D plus 5 debt, I'm really enjoying that right now out of year end.
And that's one of those things that newer players usually panic and decide to buy into someone in attempts to increase the stock price. It doesn't increase the stock price that much this late in the game relative to the income that there is on the map.
Exactly. It does not at all. Well, Power's going to die now. I mean, Dust Storm coming in onto the still partially adrenaline boosted wind turbines. Dropping by 4 a second. Much lower than the about 300 that we saw it at earlier. So this one looks like it's just about over. Pretty even cash between Yerand and Pollina. Yerand, despite his almost 400,000 debt, has a much higher stock price because of these subsidiaries. And we're just about to be done for the day, assuming that game did get started all right.
I've not heard anything about it yet, so I'm assuming it did get started. But we'll find out shortly. This is going to be a pretty early win at Soul, a decently early win at Soul 9.
Soul 9, yeah. That's what we're going to end up at.
Decently early for most people having defended themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we did see that majority buy on Rhahi did accelerate things quite a bit, though. It was a nice pickup for Yerand. He really got to abuse his early lead this game, which is exactly the kind of thing you absolutely have to do as a nomad. Now, I will say, I don't really appreciate that there's not more food production online, because it should have been obvious that food was going to get super valuable eventually, because we had the Offworld markets coming up, food was the valuable launch, it was going to be going. So I would have liked to see more of that, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Yerand picks up the victory. A lot of that due to the fact, I think, that he got Rhahi as a sub. If that hadn't happened, we would have had, I think, a very different game.
Yeah, he got Rhahi as a sub, and then the reason why he was in a position to get Rhahi as a sub was he wasn't attacked that much, despite racing to the front of the pack as nomads are, tend to do.
Yeah.
A lot of those attacks on Yerand came, after he had that sub.
That's true.
So
needed to shut him down more. I think Pollina might have had a shot of staying in it if we had seen the counterplay to the off-world markets successfully a lot earlier on.
Yeah.
Like, we saw a half-hearted dynamite hit one of them at the end of the game when everything was all said and done. But you can truly do some damage to a subsidiary if you're really focused and paying attention for when those markets are coming online, because they will be coming online.
Right. Yeah, they did come online. They were on, and they got a lot of launches. Unfortunately, I don't think the game keeps track of the subsidiary launches, so I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Look at that.
I don't think it keeps track of subsidiary data at all.
Yeah, that's just reflected in the dividends that Yerand would have got from owning the subs. And what did Yerand get from
429,000?
Yeah, that's the money he used to buy Pollina out at the end.
Yeah, that's just, another half a player, basically. So, there you go. Interest charges, 303,000.
Yeah, if Rhahi defended herself, we'd be looking at a very different game, because Yerand would have either had to spend a lot of that cash to keep himself from spiraling out of control, or have been become a cheap pickup for somebody like Pollina. And then we would be very different. So
I will say, I'm a little offended by how much Cook the Books he bought this game. Only 3. I think it might have gotten to a point where he was so deep in debt by that point, he just gave up on it and was like, nah, never mind. Not even going to try.
Not even worth it. Yeah, there comes a point when I'm going to win despite my debt, or it's going to kill me.